Hey everybody, welcome to RunningDenver TV. I'm Lonnie Summers. I'm here with the beautiful Melissa Minsick. And if you're watching this right now, that means it's really good news. It's season 2 of RunningDenver TV. We're back. Did you miss us? This is episode 1. We've got a really good show for you today.
Thank you so much for being here. We're going to review a couple of things that have been happening recently, preview some fun stuff coming up related to Halloween, and we also have 2 amazing guests today. We're going to be talking to Tonia Smith of Colorado Springs. She's got a very inspirational story as an ultra runner, and also Abby McQueeny Penamonte, who is the 2013 Women's Grand Slam of Ultrunning winner.
Which is really crazy because that's 100 miles in just a few months, which is unbelievable. We are at one of my favorite spots of entire Denver metro area. It's pretty unique. It's used a lot. It's visited by all kinds of people. And to give you guys a little bit of a clue, Garden of the Angels and Garden of the Titans. Do you like to rock? Stay tuned. Find out if you know where we're at. Hi everybody, welcome back to RunningDenver TV. Did you figure out where we're at? Melissa, we are at one of the most beautiful venues around Colorado. We're at Red Rocks Amphitheater and Park. But chances are you've seen an awesome concert here. I remember back in 1992, I saw Paula Abdul here, right? Kind of scary. But then I saw Ozzy Osbourne. So talk about eclectic sides of music in either way. Red Rocks is definitely known for its music, the concert, the night atmosphere. But many people, this is a great time during the day because there's tons of things to do here. Lots of trails, lots of great running areas, hiking and so forth. Yep.
Want to run stairs? Red Rocks can do that for you as well. On either side of the amphitheater, there are 2 sets of stairs that include 380 steps each, not to mention 69 rows of seating between each of those staircases, where if you run each row, turn around and run back, you can get about a good 3-mile run in, all at altitude.
Wow, that's tough. And I see a lot of people out there. I know we're going to be talking with Abby later, and she's getting into some CrossFit competitions. This is a great place to train for that too, because you can actually do some good upper body workouts by going up and down the stairs, but they've got a lot of people will push themselves up and do these crazy things all the time out here. So a lot of great fitness opportunities. You know, the other great thing about it is around here is all the great hikes that you can do and trails that there are. We got Mount Falcon right next door to everything, and more great places to add some altitude to your thing. We even have Dinosaur Ridge right on the other side, which is really cool because you can run over there and check out all the footprints and the fossils embedded in the rocks.
Very cool.
So stick around. We'll be right back with review and preview.
Now it's time for review preview. Colorado hosted several ultra runs in the past few weeks. Run Rabbit Run was September 18th and 19th in Steamboat Springs. Emma Roca from Spain took first place in the women's 100-mile race with a time of 21 hours and 42 minutes, while Jason Schlarb of Durango won for the men with a time of 18 hours and 5 minutes. In the 50-mile race, Mary Mahoney of Crested Butte took first place for the women with a time of 9 hours and 5 minutes, and Timmy Parr of Leadville led the men with a time of 7 hours and 43 minutes.
Which leads us into another great ultra, and it's also got a half marathon and 10K with it, and that's the Bear Chase Trail Races. We're held on September 26th, just down the road in Morrison. In the 100K race, Vicky Gasho of Highlands Ranch led the women with a time of 13 hours and 44 minutes, and Brady Poskin of Kansas City won the men's race in 10 hours and exactly 1 minute. Emily Booth of Lafayette took the women's 50-mile race with a time of 9 hours and 36 minutes. And later in the show, we'll be hearing from the woman who actually took second in that race. The men's 50-mile was won by Patrick Stewart of Highlands Ranch with a time of 6 hours and 36 minutes. Next up was the 50K, led by Beth Coring, 4 hours and 24 minutes for the women, and Christopher Gregory at 3 hours and 53 minutes for the men. The half marathon was won by none other than Kim Dobson in 1 hour and 30 minutes and Brian Foltz in 1 hour and 25 minutes. And the 10K was won overall by Anna Hudson with a time of 41 minutes and 28 seconds, and Lance Rizzi took first for men, second overall with a time of 41 minutes and 29 seconds.
This past Sunday, the Run the Rocks 5K Run Walk also took place right here at Red Rocks. Participants gained over 450 feet of elevation as they raced roads surrounding the amphitheater to raise support for the American Lung Association in Colorado. Trey DeVries led the men's race with a time of 21:25, and 12-year-old Jaden Goodrich won the women's race in 23 minutes and 1 second. For our preview, we've got some fun Halloween events coming up in Denver. On Friday, October 16th at Washington Park, join the Boys and Girls Club of Metro Denver for the Scream Scram. This is a great family-friendly run where you and the kiddos can dress up in costumes and walk the orange carpet before kicking off your spooky celebrations with a 5K run or walk.
It's always really fun to see all the amazing costumes that come out, but then coming up on October 18th is the 6th annual Denver Rock and Roll Marathon, where actually yours truly will be one of the announcers for the event, so I hope to see many of our Running Denver community out there. The half marathon and 10K and 5K will also be taking place. It's actually, sadly, the final year for the full marathon, but we'll still have the half marathon and the 5K and the 10K coming up in 2016. The start this year is at Adams County Fairgrounds, and we'll wind down the South Platte River and end in Civic Center Park.
And finally, the Great Candy Run is a few weeks off, but you'll want to make sure to register for this one, as it is an annual favorite and benefits the charity that Lonnie and his wife, Michelle, started, the Fetal Health Foundation. It's Sunday, November 8th at Wash Park, and you can expect fun costumes, music, and of course, lots and lots of candy. Learn more at thegreatcandyrun.com.
And my favorite thing about the whole thing is?
What's that?
I want candy. No? Too much? Okay.
That wraps up our review preview. Next up, Lonnie's going to be chatting with Tonia Smith from Colorado Springs, an ultra runner and pancreatic cancer survivor. So stay tuned.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Running Denver TV. I'm Lonnie Summers and I'm here with a very, very special friend of mine, Tonia Smith. Tonia, thank you so much for being out here. She is truly remarkable. Her story is amazing and truly an inspiration too. Tonia, first of all, tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got into running to begin with and ultra running.
Well, thanks for inviting me to come on your show, Lonnie. So I started running about 18 years ago. I was 28 years old and I had worked at a gym and a health club before, teaching fitness classes and personal training. And when I gave birth to my first daughter, they didn't have childcare for babies. So I got a running stroller and decided to give it a go. It was actually my second attempt at running. The first time was when I was in college. I tried and I didn't enjoy it. But the second time around, I really fell in love with running. About 11 months after I had my daughter, Riley, my oldest daughter, I ran my first marathon. And I didn't know anything about running. I did everything wrong. I ran 26 miles the week before the race, but I was completely hooked. I just, the minute I crossed the finish line, I was like, oh, that was so fun. I can't wait to do it again. So, over the years, I've run probably 25-ish marathons. A couple years after my first, we moved out to Colorado, and that's when I discovered trail running. Fell in love with trail running. I mean, how can you not in this state? And so I tried my first 50K. I think my daughter was about 3 at the time. So, I'd been running for about 3 years and loved that. Took a break from running when I got pregnant with my second daughter and, well, not a break from running, but a break from racing. But eventually kind of worked my way back into marathons and ultra marathons. So that's basically how I got into it.
So you're wearing a beautifully purple shirt today. It says Project Purple on it. We're going to talk a little bit about that in a second, but in 2013, your life really turned upside down. Tell us more about what happened.
So I want to back up and incorporate the ultra bit into that a little bit. I had turned 44 in 2013, and I had decided, you've always wanted to run a 100-mile race. I mean, when I moved to Colorado, I'd heard about Leadville for the first time, and it, really piqued my interest. Well, raising kids and life just sort of got in the way. One day I woke up after having run a couple of 50-mile races, and I thought, either you're going to sign up for a 100-mile race now or it's never going to happen. So I signed up, after kind of looking at my options, I signed up for the Vermont 100, and I trained really hard that year. I did everything I possibly could to ensure success, and I went and ran it, and I came in 10th female and was very happy. I had set a goal of finishing under 24 hours, and I finished in 22:33. Wow. So I was very happy about that. Just had a great experience. Then I came back here and I ran the Bear Chase 100K, which is just down the road, and I ended up winning that year, which was fabulous. But I've been having some nagging symptoms, just little things. I knew something was not quite right. And so I had recently changed doctors, and that doctor had ordered a CAT scan. And I received a phone call. I remember very clearly receiving a phone call, saying, from the medical assistant saying, the CAT scan revealed that there's a tumor in your pancreas and we need to do further testing. Thinking to myself, I'm perfectly healthy. I mean, there's something going on, but there's nothing wrong with my pancreas. I even texted a friend of mine who's a physician's assistant, and I said, I don't really think I need to have the follow-up test, do you? And she said, yeah, you do. So I went and I had a MRI followed up by an endoscopic ultrasound, and what we found out was that I had pancreatic cancer, which is just a devastating diagnosis. The 5-year survival rate for pancreatic cancer is just 6%. So, I went from thinking I'm this extremely healthy, still fairly young ultra runner, how could this possibly be? So I went in the hospital 7 weeks after winning the bear chase, and I had a procedure done where they removed half of my pancreas, my spleen, and several lymph nodes. And that was it's a very difficult abdominal surgery. I was in the hospital for 5 days. And, that's when I didn't even let myself think about cancer until I had the surgery. And I remember Googling survival rates when I was in the hospital once it was confirmed, because they couldn't really tell me for sure until I had the tumor removed. And just being absolutely shocked. For stage 1 pancreatic cancer, the 5-year survival rate is only about 20%, which it's by far the lowest of any cancer. So I followed up the surgery. I started chemotherapy in January of 2014, and I did 18 rounds over 6 months, and finished in June 13th, 2014. You don't ever forget the dates. So.
No. Well, it's truly miraculous that you're even standing here. I know, obviously, we see in the news and everything like that of celebrities that have had pancreatic cancer, and we hear about it all the time that, usually it is very terminal, and like you said, the survival rates are very low. So I'm so happy, because I've never got the chance to meet you, become a great friend, and you're truly inspiring because you've gone through this, you've fought this, and now you are what we call NED, no evidence of disease.
That's right. Thank you. Yes.
Huge. And I know
Yes.
you just went through some scans and everything like that, and everything came back really good.
Yep. I'm still no evidence of disease. I will be coming up on my 2-year anniversary of my surgery, November 18th, which is exciting. Most people don't make it this far. And I remember, being in the hospital when I saw the statistics, thinking about, the first thought in my head was, am I going to get to see my children grow up? There was absolutely no guarantee. My daughter now is 17. She'll be turning 18 next month, and now I know, barring some unforeseen circumstances, I'm going to get to see her graduate, and I'm pretty confident that I will see my 12-year-old graduate also, which is huge because I didn't have that guarantee. One of the first things I did was email 5 of my girlfriends, and I said, if I'm not here, you have to promise me. And I'm going to try not to cry, but you have to promise me that you're going to do all of the girly things that my girls need. Take them to get their nails done, take them prom dress shopping, because that's what, mom is supposed to do, those things. And, my husband's awesome. He's a great man, but I wanted to be the one to get to do those things. And so I've been extremely lucky, and I never, ever lose sight of that fact. And a lot of people dread birthdays. I'm coming up on my 47th birthday pretty soon, and I just think every year, gosh, I get to be a year older. I get to grow old with my husband, and that's something that's denied to so many people. Especially people who've had the diagnosis that I've had.
Let's talk a little about Project Purple. What's it about, and why is it so important to you?
So, as I was coming through my cancer treatments, I had really, I'd been looking for a way to become involved and, sort of give back to pancreatic cancer charity, fundraising, awareness, that kind of thing, because pancreatic cancer, even though it's the 4th most deadly cancer in terms of overall numbers of deaths, it's the most deadly cancer in terms of survival rates, but the funding is very limited for pancreatic cancer. Research into a cure from the federal government is a very, very small percentage compared to other cancers. And you know, one thing when you come through an illness like pancreatic cancer, and I've talked about this publicly before, a lot of us struggle with survivor's guilt. You know, when you look around, if you look around a room of 100 people, you know, if 94 people are gone after 5 years and you're one of the few that's left standing, you wonder to yourself, why? You know, how did I get to be so fortunate when other people who are, you know, equally deserving of living and seeing their kids grow up, you know, they were not fortunate, they didn't make it. So I was contacted by a woman on the board of Project Purple because I do some writing, and she had asked me if I would write a blog for them featuring, it's a running charity, and we have teams of people who run most of the major marathons, and we have a couple 5Ks that we put on. So she asked me if I would feature some of the runners for a blog. So I started doing that and really enjoyed it. The stories are so inspiring, you know, people who are running, you know, Boston, New York, Chicago. We just had a team at Chicago, and this weekend we have a team at the Denver Rock and Roll Marathon, so that's very exciting for me. And other races, we've added Big Sur recently. So, you know, people who are running for family members who are either currently fighting or, you know, who've lost their battle. So it's, you know, it's been a very fulfilling experience for me to be a part of that and use my own talents and abilities and passions to help raise money. We fund clinical research. We also help patients who are struggling to pay either medical or other bills. You know, cancer treatments, even when you have insurance, are extremely expensive. So we've been able to help people, you know, if they couldn't pay their rent or their utility bills, those kinds of things. And we also give out scholarships to students who've been affected by pancreatic cancer in some way, whether it's a parent or grandparent, because, you know, the effect on the whole family is just tremendous. So, like I said, we currently do marathon and half marathon teams. We also have a pioneer program where people can choose any race that they want, and they, you know, can fundraise for that race. And then we've got some 5Ks. I race directed a 5K in the Springs last year, and we will be doing it again this year, April 3rd. So if people want more information about that, they can go to run4projectpurple.org. So it's run4projectpurple.org.
Wonderful. Well, Tonia, thank you so much for coming out, and really, you have to be inspired by her story. It just really shows that you think that all of us out there that are running all the time, you know, don't just kind of go out and carefree, and we have amazing challenges. Truly inspirational, all the stories that we feature on Running Denver TV, and Tonia is no exception to that rule. And we're going to take a quick break, but we want you to go ahead and continue watching this interview with Tonia. Just head over to our segment feature on runningdenver.com.
So much, Tonia and Lonnie, for that interview. It's so wonderful to hear Tonia's story, and it's so inspirational. And it's probably my favorite part about being involved with Running Denver is hearing stories like that. So we're here with another inspiration to me, at least, and to a lot of people as well. Abby McQueeny Penamonte. She's the 2013 winner of the Grand Slam of Ultraunning. So let's think about one 100-mile race. That's a lot of preparation, a lot of time, a lot of dedication that goes into being prepared for one 100-mile race. If you're not familiar with the Grand Slam of Ultraunning, that's 4 100-mile races within about a 10-week period, starting off with Western States 100 in California. Then you move on to Vermont 100 in about July. August, you come here to Colorado for Leadville, and then you wrap up in Utah for the Wasatch 100 mile race to complete the Grand Slam. So we're here with the 2013 winner. Thank you so much for being here, Abby.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So just tell us a little bit about the Grand Slam and what that was like. That had to be just insane in terms of preparation, and I just wouldn't even know where to start. What can you tell us about that experience?
Well, the great thing was that I hired an awesome coach. So I worked with Nick Clark, and really it was definitely a huge summer, but a lot of your training you do in regards to training for Western States. And then after that, it's really a matter of just taking care of yourself and recovering and really kind of like doing like a reverse taper in between those races. So all of my training was really geared up for Western States. And then, like I said, after that, it was taking like a week off in between races of completely no running, and then introducing like light jogging, and then doing a little bit more like race specific stuff. So like for Leadville, getting up at altitude, and then really just starting that taper again and getting ready for each race.
Well, Abby is also a registered dietitian, so kind of along those same lines, those questions I just asked, what advice would you have for new runners, let's say, for nutrition tips?
So I think one of the things that a lot of clients ask me about, they're training for certain races and they want to know what they should eat, like the night before a race or the day of a race. And I say it's just like training. I mean, before you can actually get to that race, you have to put in the work beforehand. So same thing goes with nutrition. You have to work on your daily diet. And a lot of people just don't have those fundamentals. So some of the basics I encourage people to think about, I tell people to eat with their hands. So make sure that you get protein the size of your hand, make sure you have vegetables at least the size of your fist. Carbohydrates, try and limit to about the size of your fist. And then your healthy fats are usually integrated in there. So really just starting out with those foundations of nutrition, making sure they get the right nutrients.
And I'm sure that, if you're saying it's a foundation, that goes for runners of any distance. How does, what additional nutritional advice would you offer for ultra runners, or how would that look different than just the basics?
So with ultra runners and really any runner and really any person, I do encourage what I call like fat utilization or metabolic efficiency. Contrary to what a lot of people think, fat is actually our primary fuel source. So carbohydrates are not the fuel source or the preferred fuel source. So we have endless amounts of fat available, and the goal is to try and teach our body to utilize our fat stores and preserve those carbohydrates. And the way to achieve that is by moderating our carbohydrate intake and then making sure we have a good balance of those healthy fats and moderate protein. So when you look at like the standard American diet, it's very heavy in carbohydrates and specifically like refined carbs. So really just trying to scale back on that stuff and boosting up fat intake in the diet.
Okay, great. That sounds cool. I'll be curious to hear how your first competition goes. I'm sure you'll do wonderful.
Hopefully.
Great. Well, anything else you'd like to share with us? Or?
No, thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for coming. And if you'd like to see Abby's full interview, you can find it at runningdenver.com.
Thanks everybody for joining us for today's segment. It's really wonderful to have you out here. And oh my gosh, Tonia, what a true inspiration. This is what I love about our show. We have such amazing people that, and do really these amazing distances which seem impossible, but the things that they've overcome and the things they do is incredible. Tonia overcoming pancreatic cancer, still battling, still hoping that she stays in what we call in bed with Ned. It means no evidence of disease. And then Abby, oh my gosh.
It's amazing.
Running
Crazy.
4 100-mile events over 10-week time frame.
Yes.
Some people would need a whole year to recover, and doing the Grand Slam of that and winning it. Heck, I was thinking the Grand Slam you guys were referring to was a big breakfast at Denny's. Anyway, on behalf of myself, Lonnie Summers, and my beautiful co-host, Melissa Minsick, we hope to see you next time on Running Denver TV. You can check out more at runningdenver.com.